Joining me now is a Bellator middleweight fighter who takes on Kevin Fryer at Bellator 200 on May 25th in London, England. It is Costello van Steenis joining me here on the program for the very first time. Costello, how are you?
I'm fine, Nick. I'm fine. I'm doing great. No injuries. Perfect. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time just under 2 weeks out from the fight. Before we talk about your run with Bellator, your upcoming fight, everything else going on, just sort of to introduce yourself in a way, because this is the first time we've spoken, how did you get involved in MMA?
I got involved by MMA. I was still living in Spain. I'm living in the Netherlands now, but I used to live in Spain, and one of a good friend of my dad came to me and said, "Hey, you want to be a badass fighter? You want to be one of the strongest of this place?" Like, yeah, sure, of course. So he just introduced me to MMA. I didn't even know what MMA was at the moment. So after 6 months of training, he said, "Hey, you want to do a competition?" Like, yeah, sure, why not? I said, "You're quite good, so let's start doing competition." 5 months, 6 months after, I did a competition. 2 fights in one night. It was a tournament. I won the fight. Cool. And that's when I started watching MMA fights. And then I was like, oh, shit. Oh, this is a badass fighter. And it was John Jones fighting against Rua for the title at that time. And that's when everything started coming.
Very cool. And so you were born in the Netherlands, but then you said you went to Spain. When did that happen?
Yeah, I was born in the Netherlands. I was like 2 years old. And my parents moved to Spain, and they took me with them. And I stayed there till I was 20 years old, and then I moved back on my own to the Netherlands.
Why did they initially move from the Netherlands to Spain, and then almost 20 years later, about 18, why did you move back?
Well, I guess they like the temperature more in Spain.
Fair enough.
Being lazy, nice sunny weather, always hot. Yeah, I can't blame them. Yeah. Well, I moved back to the Netherlands because I wanted to start fighting. I was like, I was 19 years old, 20 years old nearly. I was like, my dad was asking me, yeah, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, if you want to stay in Spain, you're not really going to have a future because it's a lazy country, you know? So like thinking, and my dad said, hey, why don't you go move to Holland? So the day he asked me, I moved back to Holland. I jumped on the bus and I went straight to Holland. And before that, my trainer said, he said to me, "Hey, you got some you're a good fighter. If you wanna reach something with the sport, because I see potential in you. I think you can reach the top. You should go to a different country." So yeah, then a few weeks later, my dad asked me that question. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go to the Netherlands.
Very cool. So you had 9 fights sort of on the local circuit for, so to speak, and then you ended up making your Bellator debut last October. What was that like? That was obviously the biggest fight of your life, biggest fight of your career, super big opportunity, very important. You won by first round submission, moved your record to 9-1. What was it like stepping foot inside the Bellator cage for the first time?
It's my dream come true. The day that I did my first professional MMA fight, or let's say the day that I stepped into that bus to come to the Netherlands, I was like, my goal is to come into a very big organization before I'm 25. Well, on my birthday, I signed the Bellator contract. I made it. Yeah, it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true, Nick.
And this fight, your last one, was in the U.S. That was the first time you fought in the U.S. What was that like, that experience?
The experience wasn't really great. Well, yeah, it wasn't really great because my diet, I was on a diet. I was eating rabbit food, vegetables and all that shit. I couldn't really enjoy the burgers that I was seeing there on the side. Nah, but after the fight, I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful country. I'm definitely visiting this year or next year. I'm coming back. My mom's there now, so maybe after the fight Bellator 200, I'll go visit her.
What's your mom doing in the States? Is she living there now?
She's not living there. She's on a long holiday trip to visit her sister. We've got a big family living in the UK, in America.
Yeah. Was that your first time in the States when you fought?
Yeah, it was the first time.
Okay.
Was the first time.
Overall first impression on a scale of 1 to 10, was it, where would you say it was?
Well, the week before that, I thought it was going to be a 10, but then I got some jet lag. Yeah, that really that really screwed me over. I would say without the jet lag and without the diet, it would have definitely been a 10. But because of the jet lag, diet, and fight preparation, it was, I'd say, it wasn't really something fun to do. So let's say a 5. Let's say a 5.
Interesting. Now, going into that fight, a lot of people were talking about how, you're Gegard Mousasi's protege in a way. You're sort of under his wing. You started training with him. Now, just to get the record straight, how often do you train with Gegard? Is it all the time? Are you full-time at the gym he trains at?
I see him 6 days a week.
Okay.
For this training camp. So I see him nearly every day. Yeah.
For how long has that been happening? How long have you known Gegard and been training with him?
I got introduced to Gegard and the whole team when I was 21 years old. Then I just came training at his gym once a month, once in 2 months, and then I was then I was starting to get better and better, and then they told me to come more. So since then, since I was like 23 years old, nearly 24, I started training there a few times a week. Yeah. And then on training camps, we train every day.
Very cool. What was that like having him on the same card as you? Go back to, your Bellator debut in October of last year. Again, it's a big fight for you. Maybe you have some jitters, so to speak. How helpful was it to have him on that same card?
It was a dream come true. Yeah, for me, it's a dream come true. Gegard Mousasi, I saw him on YouTube. I was like, wow, this guy lives in the Netherlands. Well, what the fuck? Now we're traveling to fucking same country, fighting on the same card. Yeah, I get to train with him. I get to do my fight preparation when he does his fight preparation. I get to learn a lot of him because he's in this fight business for, how long? 15 years? Maybe longer. And I just started this like not even that long, so he's teaching me a lot. Yeah, it's a dream come true.
Do you think how would you have performed differently had you not been on the same card? Would you have been a bit more nervous or anything like that?
I'm not really sure about that. It hasn't really happened, so I don't really know, man. Maybe in the future we'll find out.
Sure, yeah. I suppose you guys can't fight on the same card forever, but again, Bellator 200, you are yet again. Is it sort of the same feeling going into your debut as far as, of course it's different because now you fought for Bellator before, it's not your debut, but still having him on the same card must be very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, exactly. It's very nice. I'm always learning from this guy. So yeah.
And
perfect.
What is it like fighting on such a big card? Bellator 200, you have the number, even if the fights weren't fantastic, and they are, but even if they weren't, it being the 200th event makes it a big deal. It's in London, what is it like being part of so early on in your career, or in your Bellator career, arguably the biggest event in the promotion's history?
Yeah, this is great. I always want, Since I heard that Gegard was going to fight on this Bellator 200, I was like, hey, get me on that card, man. Try to get me on that card. Oh, after a bit after, I got told by my manager, hey, like, awesome, good, let's go.
If you never found Gegard Mousasi, if you never came across him, if you never started training with him, where would you be in your MMA career? Would you eventually get as good as you are now, or do you think I hate to say he's defined your career, that's a little too far almost, but you definitely have to give him some credit, do you think?
Yeah, of course. Now, I believe in myself. I would have definitely got to the place where I want to be. It's people say if you put all your energy into something you really want, you'll make it. Well, that's what I did, and I was lucky to meet Gegard and everyone. But yeah, of course it helps me a lot. But I would have definitely made it also, yeah.
How cool would it be for you if Bellator comes to the Netherlands one day?
Yeah, that's cool. That's like fighting in my back garden.
And you've only fought
perfect.
there once in your career. Is that true? Your debut,
Yeah.
first fight?
My first professional fight was here in the Netherlands. Yeah,
Why have
long
you
time.
not fought there since? Is it just a lack of promotions, lack of fights there? Why?
Bellator. MMA wasn't really popular in the Netherlands. I don't know, they don't really make a lot of MMA fights over here. But I went to Belgium, that's like the neighbor of the Netherlands. I fought there 2 fights, and then after I got some guy told me, hey, you want to fight next week in the UK? I said, yeah, sure, I'll fight there. So I went to the UK, and I made a good show there, and they gave me a contract there for a few fights. And since then, I've been fighting in Phoenix Fight Night in London, in the UK.
Yeah, that's something I noticed just looking at your record. Most of your pro fights have been in the UK. Do you think for that reason you'll be a little more comfortable ahead of or during this fight than your Bellator debut, just because you're so sort of used to fighting in the UK, whereas you've never been to the US before?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I've always been to be honest, I've always been an underdog in all the fights. Yeah, the guy that I've been fighting has always had more fans than I have. Well, this time I don't believe that this guy will have more fans than I have. I'm taking a lot of people with me this time, so that's going to be even better. I feel confident, so yeah.
Will you have a lot of family and friends out there? I mean, you mentioned you're bringing a lot of people. Who exactly? Or do you have your parents coming out or family? Who's coming out sort of as the support system?
I have family coming over. I have friends I grew up with in Spain coming over. I got people from England that live there are coming over to watch this Bellator fight. People from the Netherlands, from the gyms I train with. Yeah, it's a bunch of people are coming. Also, cool. Gegard's friends are also people that I know, so they're also going to support me.
And I suspect it wasn't at all like that in your Bellator debut in America, just because it's a transatlantic flight. Not a lot of people can afford that, or it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I assume you were sort of, you did go into enemy territory. I assume, clarify if I'm wrong, but were there many people supporting you in your debut, as far as family and friends?
The people that were supporting me in the debut were all more Gegard's friends. I got to know them in the US. Well, yeah, they're all cool. They're coming this time again. Now I know them, of course. But those were the only guys that I met there that were supporting me. Not a big group, but yeah.
Better than nothing. What do you know about your opponent, Kevin Fryer? Do you know much about him? Have you done your research? Have you watched the tape? What sort of do you know about him, and how do you match up against him?
He's a tall dude. He's tough. He's not something that we haven't had before. I don't see nothing special at him at all. I'm not going to underestimate him, of course. He's a brown belt. I saw a few days ago on social media he's a brown belt, but doesn't say anything, because I believe that if you punch him once or punch him twice, he's going to be a white belt on the floor. So yeah, I'm going to be dominating everywhere. I'm going to be dominating standing up, ground, wrestling. Doesn't really. I'm going to be stronger in every position.
So you're 9-1 as a pro MMA fighter. This will be your 11th pro fight. You haven't been around forever. You're still fairly young in your career. What are your MMA aspirations? Do you hope to stay with Bellator for the majority of your career? Do you want to, or do you still have the UFC in the back of your head, just like so many other fighters?
UFC, I don't know what comes, but Bellator's been taking care of me. I have no complaints at all. Bellator is cool. Bellator's been good with me, so why would I change?
No, very fair. So you would be 100% satisfied if you retire as a Bellator fighter?
Yeah, retire? I'm not really thinking of retiring yet.
No, we're talking years down the road, maybe 10 years or so, but I suppose things can change. In 10 years, maybe Bellator's not around, maybe the UFC's not around. Who really knows?
Exactly. Yeah, well, we'll see about it. We'll see. Like you said, things can change, but until now, I'm happy with Bellator.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future, for the next year or two, you're not going anywhere.
Nah, exactly. No, I'm staying. I'm not staying to beat up people in Bellator.
There you go. How long is your actual contract with Bellator? You've had one fight. Is it a 4-fight deal or?
I had a 4-fight deal. I fought one fight, so I have 3 more to go. With this one, after this one, 2 more fights to go.
Okay. When would you start negotiating after your 3rd Bellator fight? Is that when you would look to re-sign, or would you fight out the contract? Do you have any plans as far as that goes?
I have no idea. This is my first time I have a big contract like this, so I'll have to talk with the manager about that.
Fair enough. Well, it is Bellator 200 going down from London, England, May 25th. You will be taking on Kevin Fryer. Let us get a prediction from you. How do you feel like you get the job done?
I'm going to be dominating him in every way. And like I said, I don't like finishing fights. I don't like ending fights by points. So my hand will definitely be up at the end. It's going to be a finish. It's going to definitely be a finish. I was going to say 1st round, 2nd round, or 3rd round. But there's going to be a finish.
There you go. And one thing I did want to ask you about a bit earlier, and I forgot, is that obviously you and your training partner, Gegard Mousasi, are both in the 185-pound division. I suspect that you're not quite there in the title picture, but you win a few fights, you could be right there in no time at all. How will that work? Have you sort of talked to Gegard about it, or has that conversation not quite come yet? How would you deal with that? It's sort of almost like a Georges St. Pierre, Rory McDonald situation when they were both active in the UFC.
Yeah, I've spoken with him before about that, but yeah, we'll see what happens. No, nothing. I'm not gonna fight him, never.
No, I didn't mean to imply that you would fight him, but would you be okay with perhaps not fighting for the title just because your teammate, again, this is if Mousasi wins the title.
No, I don't mind. I'll be 2nd place until Gegard goes on holiday for a long time. He's not going to be that long in this MMA stuff, I think. So, yeah, I'll keep 2nd place till he's gone, and then I'll get the 1st place. So everybody can fight me before they want to reach Gegard or something like that.
Sounds like a plan. Well, Costello, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you for the first time. I'm sure it will not be the last. Best of luck to you on May 25th. Before I let you go, let my audience know where they can find you on social media. And if there's anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
All right. Follow me on Instagram, Costello_MMA. Very easy. I'd like to thank everyone that's got my back. My trainers, my family, my fans. So, yeah, we're going to make a show. We're going to make war in Bellator 200. Watch it live.